is a big mistake for Iran. Next, the Greek Empire. The unified Greek Empire under Alexander the Great, it barely lasted because as soon as he died, he took over, established it. Then he died in his 30s, and it was split between his 4 generals. But the Greek Empire that most dramatically affected the Jewish people was called the Seleucid or Syrian Greek Empire. And under the king called, and you'll recognize this, Antiochus Epiphanes, the foreshadow of the Antichrist, and the events of Hanukkah, Antiochus launches the first all-out religious persecution in history against the Jewish people. And he persecutes everyone who follows the Bible, tries to wipe out the faith of Israel. What happened to Antiochus? You hear about Hanukkah, but you don't hear the sequel. What happened to the empire? The Maccabees gained the victory in the year 164 BC. It's recorded in the same year Antiochus is struck down dead. It's recorded he died in agony. I will curse those who curse you. But it wasn't just Antiochus. Near the end of his reign, the empire dramatically is disintegrating. In just 60 years, the mighty Seleucid Greek Empire consists of just a few cities. It's nothing. But Greek civilization warred against the faith of the Bible in a deeper way. It attempted, in a sense, through Greek culture and language to turn the Jewish people away from their faith, away from their God, to worship the Greek gods. So what happened to Greek civilization? As it sought to do to Israel, it was done to the Greek civilization. God caused the faith of Israel in the Bible, in the gospel of Messiah, to spread to the Greek civilization. And instead of the Jewish people turning away from the God of Israel, the Greeks turned away from their gods to the God of Israel in Messiah. The very thing that was used to take the Jewish people away from their faith, the Greek culture and language, God used the Greek culture and language to spread the gospel. That's why you want to see the sign of it, your New Testament is written in Greek. God, I will bless those who bless you, curse those who curse you. And then there was Rome, the archetypical empire of empires, Rome. What did Rome do to the Jewish people? Most dramatically, Rome caused Israel and Jerusalem to fall. And then it did something that no other nation did. It scattered, it smashed the nation, pulverized it to scatter its pieces to the ends of the world. Took the Jewish people captive into the nations. They survived, but now in a scattered form. Why you see Jewish people today in other places in America on your television sets is because of what Rome did 2,000 years ago. Scattered them in pieces. So what did God do to Rome? Rome would be divided, split apart, then crushed and fall, and the pieces of the Roman Empire would be scattered to the ends of the earth. Roman culture would be scattered. Roman government in pieces would be scattered. Roman language would exist in a scattered form. Roman language, Latin, was broken apart, would be scattered to become Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Romanian, and even part of English. The Roman government would break up, but its scattered pieces would touch governments all over the world. The word prince, the word duke, the word president all come from Rome. So does the Senate. So does the Capitol building. Much of Washington, it's a scattered piece of Rome. The title Caesar broke up and became Kaiser in German, became Tsar in Russia. Moving now from the ancient world, beginning into the Middle Ages, the empire of Byzantium, or the Byzantine Empire. In the 500s AD, the emperor is Justinian. He issues the Code of Justinian. It goes against the Jews as no code before had. He strips the Jews of their rights, forbids them to even read the Bible in Hebrew, and much more, confiscates Jewish property. And what happens to Byzantium? I will curse those who curse you. Not long after Justinian issues that code, the Byzantine Empire begins to fall, decline. It marks the turning point in the empire. Soon after the Code of Justinian comes the plague of Justinian, the first known pandemic in history recorded. And it's the first firmly recorded outbreak of the bubonic plague, the Black Death, that would later hit Europe. The plague would return in every generation in Byzantium up into the 750s. It would have a major impact in history. In less than 2 centuries, the Byzantine Empire would be reduced to a shadow of itself, would be stripped of its possessions as it had stripped the Jewish people. Europe, the Middle Ages. After the start of the Crusades, many of us hear about the Crusades growing up, that this is a good thing. Well, not really. The Crusades wiped out Jewish people, wiped out Muslims, wiped out other Christians. And what happens is it launches a persecution all around Europe. The situation in Europe in those centuries, the 13th century, the 14th century, are persecutions, massacres, expulsions. England expels all the Jews in 1290. France, all of them in 1306, about 100,000 of them homeless. What happens to Europe in that time? In that same century, Europe is racked with tribulation. 3 years after France expels the Jews, medieval Europe is split into what's called the Babylonian exile of Europe. Then comes the Great Famine of 1315. Then in 1337, France and England, the same nation that had just expelled the Jews, enter into a 100-year war which decimates them. And in 1348, then comes the Black Death, the same plague that first broke out in Byzantium when Justinian warred against the Jews. The Jewish people seek refuge. They go east. They're welcomed into one of the most tolerant kingdoms in the land of Europe at that time, the kingdom of Poland. Particularly under the Polish king Casimir the Great, they are blessed in Poland. And what happens? I will bless those who bless you. Under Casimir, Poland is united and prospers. And in the years ahead, Poland rises and rises to become a greater and greater refuge for the Jewish people. And it rises to become one of the greatest kingdoms at that time in Europe, one of the largest, most powerful kingdoms, as it blesses the Jewish people. But around the time, the middle of the 1600s, it all changes. In Poland, the Jewish people are massacred, hundreds of thousands. At the end of the 1600s and 1700s, Poland is ruled by a dynasty that is against the Jewish people in their midst. And guess what happens? I will curse those who curse you. It just so happens that as Poland enters the 1700s, at that time, it becomes struck by disorder, anarchy, begins to sink and sink so much so that by the end of the 1700s, one of the greatest kingdoms of Europe is cut apart, partitioned. The kingdom of Poland never rises again. Spain,